All right, welcome back to the Iron Sights podcast. We are at we're at Staccato, Las Vegas, which is Prairie Fire. They're kind of they've merged the two. It's going to be known as Staccato Vegas going forward, but today it's Prairie Fire Range Day, which is part of SHOT Show 2025. And I've got sitting in the chair Jeff Stout from SureFire. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
I appreciate you taking time to be here. I started the morning early like you. Got in here, it was dark still, and we got set up, and then the goal was to get out to the booths of the folks that were going to gracious with their time and come in and talk to me like you today to get some, maybe like some 5-minute kind of just interviews, showcase some of the products that are on the table or what's being shot or whatever they're doing out there at the range day. And you were one of the last booths I got to. I'm like, we're going to hit them on the way back because you guys are like right next to this office we're in. Dude, when I got there, that line was at least 30 people, 40 people deep, and you were at that table by yourself up there with stuff.
Yeah, we were swamped.
You guys were running around crazy. That is SHOT Show. That is Prairie Fire Range Day. So hopefully they're not too mad at me for stealing you away, or you
they're good.
For leaving them there. Thanks for joining me, man. I know this is going to be probably an incredibly busy week for you and SureFire, and I want to hear about it. Like, I want to hear about what's going on there and the products. You brought some, so we're going to talk about a little, some of those. I want to talk about the company history a little bit because it's an interesting one to me. But let's start talking about you and your history, man. Just don't you just let us, you can start wherever you want and finish wherever you want. I might cut you off to ask a question or two, but go for it.
I don't know how deep you want to go. First of all, I'm from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So Boyertown, Pennsylvania. And I started shooting early, BB gun, 22, small bore, and then high power. And then I went in the Marines.
Okay.
I did 4 years active duty in the Marines as a 1371 combat engineer. That's some explosives. And then I got out and I went into nuclear security.
Okay.
I did that for 15 years. And then I was on a team. We basically were a red cell or Op 4. And hit almost every nuclear facility in the country just to test its defenses and stuff.
Fun.
That was a great job.
Fun.
And then I went back as an instructor.
Okay.
After that, I worked for another company that sold gear, weapons, and apparel. And then after that, I went to SureFire.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
October 2019. So I've been with SureFire for a little over 5 years now.
Okay, cool. There's a lot of things have happened at SureFire since then. Mm-hmm. And you're the East Coast guy slash world dominator, from what I've been told.
I'm all over the place, for sure. I travel a lot.
How many days a year?
Oh my God, a lot. The first probably 7 months of the year is the busiest for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm probably home maybe 5 days to 7 days a month.
Wow. Yeah. How you doing that?
Well, I'm single.
Yeah. That's how you're doing that. That is how you're doing that. Right?
Both my boys are in the Marines. One is currently active duty Marines. The other one was, and now he's active duty Army. Gotcha. But so they're on their own. So I live alone. So I can pretty much come and go as I
that's
as I
cool,
need
man.
to.
What a cool gig, and what a great lineage you got going on there. How was that conversation when the one went to the Army and out of the Marine Corps? Was that a pleasant table conversation?
Not really. Well, we got family history as Marines and all that. So he's like, Dad, I did that. So now I'm doing something else. And I'm like, all right, I support you.
Yeah. He did the thing. Yeah, I gotcha.
It was pretty cool. He was only out for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then, transferred over and tried to transfer rank and everything and no problem. And almost immediately they sent him to Korea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let the boys will be boys, and they will do what they're going to do. I know that one well. My mom would say that about me for sure. So let's jump into a little bit of SureFire's history as a company. So first off, let's just talk about SureFire.
Okay.
I honestly don't think anybody's listening to this podcast doesn't know who SureFire is, hasn't probably touched or used a product, or isn't currently have one mounted to something or strapped to them somewhere or something like that. So let's talk about SureFire, and we can kind of talk about the history at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
Well, so first of all, SureFire has been in business for 46 years now. Absolutely incredible company. They're located in Fountain Valley, California. We have several buildings there where almost the products are made entirely, in those buildings. Incredible innovation. And the owner, Dr. John Matthews, prides himself on making the absolute best product, bar none, regardless. So that's one of the reasons why SureFire has such an incredible reputation. For the indestructibility, if you will,
they are
and
durable.
The innovation.
Yeah, I found that. I mean, I run SureFire on all my pistols for that reason. I've dropped them, I've banged them. They just continue to run. I change batteries, and we tend to be good to go. I got introduced to it early, like right away. It was like that was what was on things. There's other manufacturers that make great products. Durability, reliability is a thing. Thing for everybody. It's certainly a thing for me. And I'll also say the price point is fair. For the value and the durability and reliability that you get. I love that. I love a lot of their stuff. So, and you brought some stuff, and we'll talk about that. Interesting parts about that history is it started with lasers, right? And it's evolved into many things. You guys do a lot of products. Let's talk about that.
So, that was a long time ago, so I'm going by what was told to me. But apparently, Dr. Matthews started the company as Laser Products.
Okay.
And then at a point, it changed into SureFire. The logo was still SureFire, but it was slightly different at the time. And then it migrated into what it is now. But quite incredible. And apparently the SureFire and one of the employees there designed that laser for the Terminator movie. That's on that.
Oh, is that right?
On that 1911. Now, it's to my understanding that the way it was presented there wasn't exactly how it was. Apparently, it had wires that came down to a bigger battery to power that thing at the time and all that. But it's really incredible because that was innovation,
right
at that time. And then how far we've come now to now our lasers are, the size of a marble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so many other things have come along with that. I mean, obviously the SOCOM suppressor, which is the tried and true, and it's been around for a long, long time too. Obviously the illumination stuff, all the lights, handhelds, weapon-mounted lights, all that stuff. Again, like there's a few other products in there too. I don't want to be disrespectful and leave them out, but I mean, there's Ear Pro, and there's several things there that are kind of come up. And given the history there's also a rich history like in law enforcement and the military. And you mentioned, obviously, your history there. Do you ever use any of the products while you were in?
Yeah, if you don't mind, it's actually pretty funny.
Let's talk.
I was in the Marines a long time ago, so I'm 48 years old. Okay, so I think it was in 1997, we did Urban Warrior. Mount training in the Marines when it was in its infancy, that project. And during that time, we were given some cool gear, which Marines are never given cool gear. So we got, we got an Eagle Ruck, and we got an Ontario knife, and we got a SureFire 6P. Okay. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool light, because our lights were the moonbeam. I mean, it was that bad, right? And, this thing had a rechargeable battery, and it was super bright, and it was, knurled aluminum, indestructible. And anyway, I still have that to this day. So that was in 97. Obviously, we've moved past that. And then in nuclear security, I've had a ton of different lights from SureFire that I've purchased myself. So I had, very loyal to the product brand. One of the reasons because they made the best, and that's what I choose to do. I didn't want to buy something and have to buy again.
Right,
sure. Say buy once, cry once thing. But
I get it.
So that just led up to that point. And then when I was offered a position at SureFire, I'm like, absolutely, because it's not just selling something; it's something I truly believe in.
That's so cool. I mean, actually, this is a common theme in some of the guys we've been talking with since we've been at the show, which is a little less than, or right at about 24 hours, I think, at this point. Sorry for you people that can't see. I'm looking over at Cece right now for confirmation because sometimes I forget my own name. But my point of that is there's been a theme in the conversation about the connection to the brand that they're working for, or that they own, or that they're representing this week. And it starts with that. It starts with, like, I was almost in some cases I was a customer first, or I had this other product from this other place and it wasn't cutting the mustard for me. And so I got together with some people and we tried to make just a better product. And now that's what they're doing. I think, like, the consumer market in general, I think they want to know who they're buying their products from. And I think they want to know that the person that they're buying their products from knows what they're talking about and has a personal connection to it. Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe weird for people to hear. Some people don't care. They want, give me the best deal for the best value, and that's good enough for me. So the history there, for me, is cool, because in this industry, it's also very incestuous, and it seems people jump from one company to the next, and kind of they'll just sell whatever they need to sell, to earn a living or whatnot. So again, those connection stories, like, for some people it might sound a little corny, but for me, I think it's important. And I think it says a lot about the company. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely expand on that. So like I said before, SureFire and the owner want to make the absolute best, bar none. And everything that I've used has been the best. And I've had other brands before I worked for SureFire. You name it, I've had it. They had some cool designs and this and that and everything. But when you test it back and forth to see, you can see the quality in this. I mean, I can throw a SureFire on the ground as hard as I can, and it's still going to work. You know, and that kind of dependability is what I wanted.
Yeah, that's important, especially, you know, if your life depends on it, or it's one thing to, you know, just kind of be carrying a flashlight around for little odds and ends things. But, you know, I get it. You know, I understand. I think some of the cool things that I've seen happen is there seems to be like, not, you know, super frequently, but there are constantly being like these little tweaks being made to the current products. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're just maybe taking talk about that process for SureFire in your experience.
Well, so a couple of things maybe people don't know. So like I said, SureFire likes to make the best, no matter what. So that's why the product costs what it costs, because of that dependability and that innovation. Additionally, we have a lifetime warranty.
That's the other thing people talk about a lot.
That really screams. And then if there is any problem with the product, you can call in, email in, get an RMA, send it back, and then it's either repaired or replaced, depending on what the issue is with the product.
Sure.
And it's sent back very, very quickly. So our return and repair process is ultra fast. And then not only that, anything that we identify as a weakness or whatever, you know, goes into the next model or revision to ensure that that problem doesn't exist. And that could be a lot of different things, a variety of different things that we're going to change to make the product better. So they're constantly innovating, constantly making the product better.
So, I mean, you're in again, you're managing the East Coast here. What are people, let's talk about this first. Who are you dealing with mostly? Like from a B to C type of situation?
Law enforcement agencies.
Period.
Yes.
Hard stop.
So I'm in law enforcement sales. We do have a commercial division.
Gotcha.
Sometimes they do bleed into one another, and a lot of times some of the general public does come into the law enforcement venues and stuff like that, and we go over the product thoroughly at our booth, the entire product line, and make sure that they know everything that they need to know.
So I'm curious in sort of in that genre of things, what are they asking you for, like, or what are they most curious about?
Brightness is always a major one. They want the brightest, smallest thing available.
It's funny. A few years ago, everybody became an expert on lumens. Before that, they didn't even know what a lumen was.
Yeah, it's very heavy. And now the new buzzword is Candela.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you care, I can actually explain that.
Please.
A lot of people don't really know.
So I'm saying that. So to set up to this, it was actually, I hadn't trained like this in a long time. It was at a low light course. A local law enforcement agency invited me to come. So I was able to do it. It was really cool. Like I was reminded of why I should be training that a little bit more just as a civilian. But a lot of things came up, right? So first they have to go through, their basic, PowerPoint presentation, death by PowerPoint thing. They try to get through that really quick. So the class could get out there and actually experience some things. And so here's some things that came up for me. So maybe we could talk about it as we go. So first off, there was, you're getting an education on kind of like what policies are, what procedures, what's the importance of having this weapon-bound light or handheld light and where it's going to be used and so on and so forth. And ultimately you start getting into things like Lumens, Candela, the different brands out there, things like, well, I'll get to that in a second. But basically, it's like, okay, so let's talk about the thing. Let's get out and use the thing. Now, here's a few things that came up. One, most of the time, and I would say 95% of the people that were there had basically just bought whatever they were told or issued. And something that came up maybe in the academy or something they researched online. So that was the first thing. Anybody that had gotten sort of something on their own, and this is not a knock on them. It's just what the information they had available to them at the time because they hadn't really tested it. They hadn't really seen it in operation. The very little training that they get in the academy under low light, right, or no light. The next thing is they go out and they buy their own product. Well, they didn't want to spend a lot of money. So they got something that didn't cost a lot of money and it performed like it didn't cost very much money. And they were very surprised. Things were breaking, right? Especially the handheld stuff as we were dropping those things on. In some cases, we were on a backline where there was a rubber mat, but for most of the time it was an indoor range. We were on concrete, so things were breaking. Oh, my light just broke. Guys that were issued stuff had things that were completely impractical for what it is we were training for that day. And this is basic firearms training using a handheld and a weapon mounted light. So those things came up, and then. Well, the eyes had been glassed over, I think, during chins kind of on chest during Lumens and Candelas and, all these kind of things in the PowerPoint. Now they're asking questions like, what light are you using? Like, what do you got there? Like, oh, I see how at 5 yards, this is fine. But at 15, it's a little bit of a different story. And 25, I can't see anything, right? I'm barely doing anything. And then there were lights being shown back at us. So they're setting up like the panel lights that we have here in the office today. So you'd have to cut through that light. So I'm setting all that up. So when you explain this, the people that maybe think they know and maybe don't know as much as they know, or people that don't have any idea where you might be going with this, it was very telling. I was reminded of some things, and I learned a few things. Not just about my own equipment, but about other people's equipment and why I made the decisions that I made, and how I might make some different ones in the future on a couple of other things. So have at it.
Yeah, it's quite incredible when you're comparing, all the different brands together and all the different things, and you see their strong points and weak points and everything else to make that decision. Yeah, but well, we try to explain everything as we can to our customers, so they have the knowledge, and they can look through our catalog or peruse our products and make their best decision. We even have a flow chart now in our product catalogs.
Okay.
But Lumens is it's basically the entire amount of light output. All right, so all the light together will give you the lumens, and then Candela is the absolute brightest hot point of that light. So whatever that is, that's Candela. So it's very, very easy to explain.
Yeah. So for people that are trying to put this together in their head, if you shine your flashlight on the wall, right, you've got like, obviously there's a, let's just call it like a circle, right? That's being projected. And the further you go, the larger that circle gets, or the further you're away from your wall, right? So as you move back. So this thing gets bigger, right?
Yes.
And when you're up close, you'll see that hotter, whiter spot. And there's different, tones, like you have warmer colors and cooler colors, and maybe we could talk about that a little bit, but you see that white spot on the wall, right? And it's very prominent. And as you move back, depending on the Candela, right, as you explained it, that starts to dissipate. And what you have is that throw and how far that light can actually travel, and then the spill around it, right? Yeah. What does that hue kind of turn into over time? So again, going back to like 5-yard line versus 25-yard line, that becomes very prominent very, very quickly. And again, going back to Candela, you quickly learn how important that can be at distance. Yeah. Particularly, and this is not something I'd ever practiced before, because it just wasn't practical for what we were doing. We were in my previous like low light training. They actually had a PID. Excuse me. We did a long session on PID. So they had these targets. They weren't silhouette. It was actually like a human picture or whatever. And then they had these basically 8.5 by 11 cutouts that would go. And the guy was kind of standing, sort of bladed, but he had his hand to his side. And what they had were all these different pictures, right, that you had to identify with your light at the different yard lines, and then choose to shoot whatever the course of fire was based on what you think you saw, which obviously is largely dependent on two things: your vision, but also how much light can you see. Sometimes it was like a money clip. It was a cell phone, right? It was a blade. It was a gun. I think someone was even carrying a badge. And so we'd started at one point at the 25, and like, what did you actually shoot when
Where's
you got
your limit, right?
Yeah, what was your limit on that thing? That had never. So I'd never gone through like a PID drill under low light like that before. Really interesting. Really interesting. You start to, again, you recognize how the quality of this stuff and how the things you just talked about matter so much. And again, going back, how many of those people, they just thrown a weapon light on their pistol because they knew that's what they needed to have, but with no knowledge and no practical application of what I just said. So anyways, I mean, that's my take on all of that. But again, people get confused with the lumens. And I just need more lumens. I need brighter light. Yeah, but what's the application?
Yes and no. It depends on your application. So SureFire actually gives you 3 different beam patterns to choose from. We have our max vision, which is our widest, our biggest flood, if you will. Then we have a hybrid, which is a cross between the two. It's a little tighter with still some flood. And then our newest beam pattern is what we call the turbo, which is the tightest one. And there's just a little bit of overflow or flood, if you will. So in my personal opinion, for what that's worth, the turbo is my favorite. It's absolutely incredible light. There's still enough kick out that you can still navigate and see peripheral, whatever. And the feedback we're getting from law enforcement is they absolutely love the turbo because it can punch right through window tint, which with some of the more flood beams out there, the light hits in a more general. Yeah, exactly. It reflects back, whatever. And then the other thing with the turbo, the two main ones that we have, there's several, but the two main ones we have is the Scout Turbo and then our new X300 Turbo. So that's the handgun light and the rifle light. And I have those in my kit and I use them on the range and everywhere else. And the handgun light can punch out to 250 yards. And that rifle light is like pushing 600 yards. Ask me
how I know. So I actually run a turbo on one of my rifles, and I do not have the turbo pistol light. I have an Ultra.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody did have a turbo in the class I was just in. Markedly different in terms of what you just said. Probably have to step up to one of those now. So
we could discuss that. So here's something that maybe people don't know. So the X300 Ultra was a fantastic seller for us, a fantastic product for a decade.
Yeah,
incredible light, and then we came out with the turbo. So the turbo is the exact same geometry. So if you were to go to the turbo, you don't need new holster.
I have to change my holster. Yeah, huge selling point. Because other people are running other stuff and they're recognizing real fast, like, oh, this isn't going to cut it, right? They're running different brands and different stuff, and they're going, well, I need to get one of those. Well, yeah, you need to go out and you need to spend a few $100 on a really good light instead of the $69 Amazon light that you got there. Yeah. But understand when you do that, you're also going to have to get a new holster, right? That is a huge selling point on that particular thing, because I can switch over and I don't have to worry about it, because I don't want to change my holsters, man. I don't want to
Absolutely.
do that.
Nobody wants to. We got enough holsters in the bin at home anyway, I'm sure.
Yeah. So the other thing you were saying there is, so in talking about all this, if you're unfamiliar with this stuff, and again, I was sort of around a group that was very unfamiliar with all this stuff. The next part is like, now I have to make a buying decision, and that can be so hard to do and confusing. When you have a bit of knowledge and you're going out into research stuff, like how much do I need? Which one do I want? And what I've noticed with Surefire is as there's been some refinement in some of the product, it doesn't mean having 30 SKUs, under, the same lights.
Yeah.
Which is super helpful for the consumer who's coming into it to make sort of a decision. And I think Surefire is largely probably responsible for basically that, well, you called it you actually have a flow chart, but basically starting to simplify that for people as the market got a little confusing there for a little while. I would say probably in the last 5 years, with some new people coming on the scene and having their own opinions about things and maybe even developing their own products. Tough. Like, what am I getting here? What am I getting here? Surefire does a really good job at presentation on what may or may not work. I get that that's your job, but I find that interesting.
We try to, and then at all the trade shows and everything I do, we really try to explain the products in detail to all the customers so they know what they're getting, and then they can see the differences between them. So we have a lot of SKUs and we have a lot of products, but a lot of those products have different characteristics, and they were developed because of that need or that requirement or that want from the public. So by developing the flow chart, now you have a way to fine-tune your needs and your wants, so it becomes less confusing and you can make a more accurate buying decision.
Yeah, I think it's you need to do a better job. I'm just saying the market in general needs to do a better job of informing their customer so the customer can make a more informed decision. Because oftentimes, as I just described, they're coming uninformed. They don't have a well-developed understanding of what they need and why they might need it, and then they're left with, well, I have to get something. So what do I get? And then it's often price driven, right? And that's a challenge. That I'm sure you're dealing with that on a regular basis with agencies.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I have a couple things that that we do with that. So we've run into that a lot. And what I try to say is, listen, this is a fantastic product, and here's why. And I build the value in it by showing them showing them those privileges and that value in the product. And then if it comes to a price issue, we try to work with them as much as we can.
Sure.
But at some point, there's a stop there.
It's a business.
And then I say, how about you get X many, and then next quarter, and then next quarter, and next quarter. This way, they get the absolute best that planet Earth has to offer in this illumination category. Instead of, maybe possibly downgrading to something that you really don't want, but it's going to fit the budget.
Yeah, and that's also a huge challenge. Obviously, you recognize that. I'm preaching to the choir. You just explained that, but when those annual budgets come out and they only have so much to spend, and they have to spend it, or that because they don't get to keep what's left over, somebody has to make a decision. And man, some of those decisions are not good. At the end of the day, in terms of quality of product, or just again I'd say the company that they may have gone into business with or whatever else, and nobody's happy in the end, and they're not there long enough to have to realize, right, that what that mistake cost everybody, not just from the dollars and cents of the check that got wrote, but somebody else having to come in and fix a problem, right, and find a way to fix the need that got missed in the first place. I can't imagine, particularly right now, just in law enforcement with where it is, and how many new people are coming in, and there's been some, a lot of exiting of people that have been around that do have the experience that can talk practically with experiential knowledge of, I've seen this progression, this is why I chose what I chose, versus, the person that just hasn't had as many experiences to say, well, this is great for this situation, but not great in that situation. I got to imagine you're dealing with that quite a bit right now.
Absolutely. The other thing I think people would love to know is, like I said, I go to these trade shows. We have a whole sales team that goes out to all the trade shows across the country, and there's quite a few. There's a lot more than SHOT. Yeah. And when we talk to all the law enforcement, military, public, everybody, we take their end user feedback, and that goes back, and that helps in product development. It helps in refinement, and sometimes it even creates brand new products. Like one that I'll go over here.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Man. Okay.
So new for this year, we basically have 2 new products mainly. Okay. This one here has been in development for about 3 years. This is a shield light.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Shields are super been popular the last few years. And typically you have, a ballistic shield, and whoever makes it, a lot of times there's a light on there that you have to buy, or that may not be as good a quality as the ballistic shield is. And it's just a light to have a light. So we were asked to make an indestructible, super bright, incredible light that would mount on any shield and take rechargeable batteries, have a good pressure pad, everything. So we worked really hard on this.
Very cool.
And this is what they came up with. So basically how this is designed to be is mounted at 12 o'clock on top of a shield, and has Allen screws here with these feet that angle in. If this one here was a little looser, it would move. But you can see how this moves.
Yep.
This will take a curved shield.
Gotcha.
It'll take a straight shield. Anything like from a 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch shield.
Nice.
It'll mount on there. So one that clamps on, if the shield ever takes rounds or gets run over by the Bearcat or whatever, you name it, you just unscrew it, take it off, and put it on your new ballistic shield. So you could have this forever. So that's one. 2, it'll take an 18650 rechargeable battery,
nice.
or 2 CR123s on this one. You have a pressure pad here, which is removable. And then you also have a regular switch on the side too, where you can activate this. So our pressure pad goes down and it'll go on your, on the handle.
On the handle,
so
yeah.
You can push, and you have activation there. The other thing that's great about this is the front lens here is what we call a sacrificial lens. So if you're using UTM or simunitions, and this gets hit, it's not going to break the light.
Gotcha.
If anything at all happens, it'll break the sacrificial lens, which that's replaceable.
Got it.
Won't destroy the light. So that was a big one with other lights that are currently in the shield market. So we wanted to take care of that.
That's very cool. What's the weight on that thing?
I don't have that memorized yet, but
I mean, I'm gonna.
You're 1,500 lumens and 32,000 Candela on that light, and that's brand new for this year. We're releasing it at SHOT.
This is cool. It's sturdy, man.
Oh, it's indestructible. Yeah, it really is.
It's sturdy. Like it looks like a heat sink on the front end for people that are kind of watching on YouTube or whatever. If you guys are listening, I don't even know how to describe it. You put it down on the table. I had no idea what I was looking at. When I saw the mounting, what would you call this, like a tray or whatever on there. It looks like I thought it was going to go on a rail, and I'm like, what the hell? That thing looks massive. You can't put that on the rail of a gun. So, no, it's very cool. I think very practical, and you're right. I mean, I'm sort of aware that shields have become a little bit more popular, or at least popularized. How they're using them is interesting.
There's been a huge demand for that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That basically came from several people in the VP and end user feedback in, hey, this is a product that we want.
I love it.
And then it went into development and constant refinement until we came up with this.
This is awesome. I mean, how many people have seen this yet?
Not really too many, a handful.
I feel privileged.
Yeah.
I'm sure this will get a bunch of attention.
Yeah, that'll be at SHOT Show. And I haven't gone by the booth yet because I've been busy and I just arrived yesterday. But apparently we will have that displayed on a shield.
Okay, cool. Right on. I love it. What else you got there?
It's brand new. This one here. So this is our XC3. So this is brand new, hot off the shelf. So our XC3 is a single battery lumen light that'll go on a handgun.
Okay, so it's push.
Yep.
For momentary. Is there a constant? Oh, there it is. There's constant double tap.
Yep. And then the other thing that's nice about this one is if you remember on our X300 and stuff, it has a hinge back.
Yep.
Take off. Okay, well, this one comes off in the front. So you'll simply move the dial from lock to unlock, pull it out, drop a new CR123 in there, polarities engraved on the side so you know where you're going, and then lock it right back in.
So you don't have to take it off of your frame of your pistol in order to change the battery, which is cool. Otherwise, you got to get your screwdriver out, put it back on, and reseat it. Nice.
I want to, while you're looking at that, I just want to give you some quick nomenclature on that guy.
Specs?
Yeah, it's brand new. So
what? Sorry, did we hit the lumens and all that on it?
Yeah.
I like the switch. It's firm, but it's not.
It's not gummy or anything.
Exactly. It doesn't, and it automatically goes back. Well, there's a double click to go on, but if you can push from the back, or you can, for those people that are listening, you can push from the back. You can just push down on either side.
So you're getting,
it feels familiar.
Yeah, you're getting 500 lumens of light out of that and 7,200 Candela out of that little guy. So
7,200. That's impressive. That's impressive.
The other thing
this thing can't be any more than, for people listening, it can't be any more than like 2 3/4 inches, maybe.
Approximately.
Yeah, from the paddle to the bezel.
Oh, the other thing on this is MSRP, as I am told, is supposed to be $299.
It's pretty affordable.
Is what I'm being told.
For that much power.
And then for the shield light, that's supposed to retail for $899.
Got it.
Subject to change, of course, but that's the information that I've received.
I love it, man. So, I mean, that's exciting. That's cool for you to come to SHOT Show with some cool new stuff like that. Again, I think, speaking of innovation and just showing up with stuff, I mean, oftentimes people come, you said something there I want to go back to. Often people come up with things that they think people want, but like, the question becomes like, who asked for that, dude? Like, where did this idea come from? They felt like they needed to come to the show with a new product, and they came up with something, but it doesn't really serve any specific person's needs. It's something that was developed out of a marketing, need to market something new and sell something new. The fact that, again, this shield light is super cool. I would have never thought of that. I don't work in the business, but I would have never thought of that.
Well, there's something else to it. Not being a SureFire employee, I always loved, how cool the products looked. And I'll have to say that is something that really has some buying strength, is the product has to look cool. And we make really cool stuff. The XC3, I think the engineers did an incredible job on that. Like just the fit and finish with the machining and the angles and stuff. Like they could have made it straight, They took some time and really made it look really cool. Yeah,
the other thing on this is like your turbo, as an example, is wider. It's a double cell battery, right? So
so that was one of the main reasons that they wanted to create that product. The double battery thing has been a back and forth issue that we've heard about with law enforcement. So if you haven't heard, there's a possibility that a finger could get in between the holster and the light due to having to make a holster wide enough to take a double battery light.
Okay.
So acknowledging that, there was a lot of need for a single battery light. So now that you have that, the holster is the same width of the firearm, and therefore they can alleviate that potential concern.
Yeah. So this, I mean, my head went straight to concealed carry with like a subcompact or micro gun. You know, this is very streamlined. It's very small. It's got a little weight to it. I like that. You know, it's quality.
If you can turn it on again, you can see the beam pattern on that guy on the wall there. So you have a really nice circular beam, and then if the lights were off, you do have a little bit of spill, which I always like.
You can see that even
you
here.
You have your peripheral, you know, for navigation and whatever, but you can still put that spot right on your suspect, and you know, hopefully that'll eliminate the engagement altogether. But if need be, you have the punch.
Yep. I think, you know, a lot of people are always get really worked up about this too. These things take batteries, and if you use them, you're going to need to replace batteries. Even if you don't use them, you need to replace batteries. Any idea what the battery life is on one of these guys?
On full power on that one, I usually have all this stuff memorized.
Man, it's all right.
Since that product is brand new,
spot.
I think I want to say 1 hour. 1 hour. I was 1 hour.
1 hour, 7,200 lumens or Candela.
500 lumens, 7,200 Candela.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, man. I mean, you can't ask much more than from, you know, a battery. And the batteries are always, Surefire batteries are always.
I have another product too, if you'd like to see.
I want to see them all, man.
Okay. So this guy. So that's our newest, latest, and greatest. So basically, there's some history. I don't have the other ones here. I'm sorry.
I have a Stiletto in my bag. So
do you?
I've seen the original.
Is it the original?
Yep.
Okay. So the original Stiletto, PLR-A, we came out with in 2020. It was polymer model. It had a fixed clip. And then that model was 600 lumens. It's super lightweight, incredible light.
Durable.
Yes.
Beat mine up.
And this one has, basically on the light here, you have a program button and you have a navigation. So how this works is, this is how I refer to it when I tell people. You have a low, a medium, and a high. Okay. Okay. And then on the back, for fighting, for handgun use, you have momentary contact, full blast. Okay. Now, if you triple 1, 2, 3, you can get a strobe out of it too. Not a lot of people use that anymore, but we still include the feature.
Gotcha.
But anyway, like yours, has a clip here, but we made this long enough to go in a pocket and hold it securely. And then it's also long enough to clip on a hat for hands-free use.
Oh, nice.
And it's skinny enough to go in molly webbing. So that was the whole premise behind that.
I love that.
And yours is micro USB rechargeable. So you can either charge it or use it. The next model, we got requested for an aluminum model.
It's a little lighter.
It actually a little touch heavier.
Really?
But it's not polymer.
Oh, so got it. Well, I thought you said this one was metal.
Well, I'm getting there. Since I don't have the others for comparison.
Oh, gotcha.
The next model above the one that you mentioned is aluminum.
Okay.
And that's the Pro, Stiletto Pro. That one goes to 1,000 lumens, same exact features, but then they customers also asked for the clip to be reversible.
Okay.
So if you want to go bezel down, you can do that now, but it's still skinny enough to go in molly, etc. And that one's micro USB rechargeable as well. This is the newest one. This is the dual head. This is the Stiletto Pro 2. This guy's 1,500 lumens.
At full power.
Brightest one we made so far. Still have your programming button, but this one we went to USB-C. So the benefit of USB-C is you can charge it while using it. So if you plug this into a battery pack or something, you could. If your light
went dead and you absolutely had to have it, and you could plug it in and use it instead of waiting for 6 hours.
Exactly. Or the other analogy I use is you could put this on the roof of a cruiser and light up the range with a battery pack while you're shooting or you're doing range cleanup or whatever, and then you can unplug it and you still know that you still have a good light in your pocket.
You guys thought of everything.
Now, this Stiletto series, since these came out, this isn't a company thing, but I just refer to it as flat battery technology, which to me it is. And it fits in your pocket just like you would a pocket knife. Right? It's very slim. When we carry pocket knives, we don't know we have them. So that's what's great about it. The tubular lights, they're awesome. They have their place. A lot of people love them. But in my opinion, I prefer the Stiletto series over the tubes because it doesn't print as well, or doesn't print as much, rather. And then it fits in your pocket, like you don't know you have it.
I love it. I mean, I'm going to have one of these guys now.
But that's the latest and greatest one. We released that last year at SHOT Show.
Really?
Uh-huh.
So this one that I'm looking at right now does have the reversible clip on it.
Yes.
So it's got the
yeah, so every model we made, it continued the features and added more and more and more.
Just kept on. Gotcha. I understand. Yeah, man, this is cool. Good weight to it. Like it's not terribly heavy, but
the other thing that
is,
people don't really notice is if you see, we added tether points now too.
So
if you want to run a some type of skinny lanyard through there.
So yeah, so that was another thing that came up the other day in terms of running lanyards, and the benefit of having those in terms of transitioning from, say, I don't know, like an FBI type search type thing, direct to two hands on the pistol, whatever, not having to drop your light and lose your light. It's not so much dropping it was the problem. It's just like, well, now you don't have access to it again. And if you needed it, something happens and you got to reholster and now you don't have a light, right? And this doesn't have, my original didn't have that.
Correct.
Right. So like that's been kind of like I don't want to say a downside, but like, if I had one, I'd prefer that. If
you want to, you could run bungee through this hole in the clip.
Yep.
But by having a dedicated tether is nice too. And how I explain it to officers and stuff, and the benefit of it is now you can use that light as a tertiary light to do malfunction clearances and reloads without dropping your light or without holstering it or putting it in a pocket to conduct a reload. You can keep it in your hand and then swing it back up and you're ready to rock again.
I don't want to get too deep into this, but the other thing about these flatter lights is if you are trying to continue to hold your light or use it like, I believe it's what they refer to as the Chapman method, where you're pinning that light up against the frame. The flat surface is much easier to do than a tube surface.
It seems more natural.
Well, I mean, because it is. As far as I'm concerned, you don't have to navigate around it. I mean, everybody's got their preferences, and you got to train through stuff. But I did notice that about that too. I hadn't really trained with my pistol with my Stiletto. I'd been using one of your other models, which is more of the tubular light. And I got a chance to really play around with it, and I really like that. This is cool, man. I love where you guys are going. So you got anything else in your pockets?
I don't have anything else in my pockets, but I'll tell you something else. We have a light. It's primarily for law enforcement. It's called the Dominator. So it's the brightest handheld light that we've ever made. So the Dominator is 4,400 lumens and 350,000 Candela.
Is that even legal?
So it's about this big. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, incredible light. And it's got a lot of really unique features. So it's tubular light. Okay, I have a picture of it in the catalog here. And we put rubber caps on the end. They're removable if you want, but they're octagonal rubber caps basically. So it doesn't anti-roll. Okay, right. And also it can take a hit if you drop it without scratching the aluminum. But it has a really cool features on it. It has a dial on the front that has, completely disengages it to off. And then you can turn that dial. I believe it goes 10 clicks, up, brighter, max, and then max strobe. Okay. So it'll stay on any of those levels you want. And then additionally, there's 3 buttons. There's a constant on, a momentary, and then a button specifically for max blast. So if you want to have it on low just for navigating or walking the dog or something like that, you can. But then all of a sudden something comes up, you're like, what's that? You can skip right to max blast, but keep your favorite setting.
Got it.
That light has a dedicated rechargeable battery inside that's specifically made for the Dominator, and you charge it while it's in the light. We give you, there's available a barrel plug that clips into the light.
Okay. All
right. It's made in a way where you're not going to break the barrel plug because it's indented.
Gotcha.
Or it fits flush rather, and then that goes either to a 12-volt cigarette lighter car for the car or 110 volt for the house to charge it. If you forget to charge it for whatever reason, you can take the battery out, and then there's also available for purchase a magazine, just like in a handgun.
Oh, wow.
That'll hold 12 CR123 batteries.
And that's what it takes.
And you can put that, if you decide to use it like that, okay, and then you can make it run. Obviously, it's suggested to use the rechargeable,
right.
Okay, but the point is you can make the light work.
How big is this thing?
It's about this big. It's called the Dominator.
Yeah, this is like 13, 14
absolutely
inches.
Incredible. So we've been moving them to game wardens, things like this. Rangers. It's like the old time spotlights used to plug in with the car. You had the million thing. It's incredible.
Yeah, go out there and piss off the neighbors.
The punch on that thing is probably 1,200 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see application for that, especially if you're in the woods, you're on the water, something like that. You're trying to get some distance out of it. That's cool. That's brand new this year?
No, that's actually been out.
Okay.
It was out for, I'd like to say 2020 or 2021.
Okay.
And it was actually 4,000 lumens then. but the engineers worked on it, and they modified it. Now it's 4,400. So we're constantly innovating. The other thing I didn't tell you that's really cool, it's kind of a little bit of an odd feature, but it's incredible. The light has 2 clips on it where it can take a sling, and you get to sling with it. Okay, because it's a big guy, right? It's a little awkward to carry. So I sling it over my support side and just have it on like a low. And that, there it is.
For walking in the night or whatever.
If I don't want it, I can just push it out of the way. It doesn't get in the way. It's really incredible with the sling.
That's cool. Not a product I even knew you guys carried. I mean,
it's called the Dominator.
I just haven't had an application for that. Not when you want to leave on for very long, I'm sure, like in your pocket or at full max power in your armpit there.
It's pretty bright.
probably gets pretty hot. Man, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Sure, like I said, Surefire's always doing something new. Anything else in your bag of tricks that you can share with us?
Nothing else I can talk about, but I
love that answer.
It's the truth.
I do love it.
I can tell you this though: we're constantly innovating. There's constantly new products being worked on, and when they're ready, they'll be unveiled.
So let's talk about where they find this stuff. Like particularly if you're a SHOT Show, like I assume you're going to be at the booth the whole week, like just answering questions.
We have an enormous booth. It's pretty much a red 2-story house. You can't miss us. But we have all of our employees there. Everybody's available to talk to, answer questions, help. We have all of our products there.
Where else are you guys going to be this year? Like, I mean, you said you're traveling all the time, but like if people wanted to come out, see, touch and show and tell, touch and feel, that kind of stuff, where do they go to do this stuff?
Pretty much every trade show, TTPOA, IACP, NTOA, OTOA, all the major ones.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff, you guys go direct to the dealer and to consumer too, just on the commercial side of things too. And it's usually, you can go in and you can play around with this stuff in the store. Like they always have like a demo model and whatever. I encourage people to go, don't just get on Amazon and order a light. Like you really got to feel the light in your hand and push the buttons, man. Turn the dials, feel it out, like shine it on the wall, like in the light, a good dealer or a good retailer will allow you to mess around with it. But you see it in the thing, you see it in the display case or hanging on the wall behind the thing, and you're going like, do I really need that? Just pull up a lesser brand flashlight, or in this case, we're talking lights, but in that case, and try it. It will blow your mind. Like if you have, anytime I pull that thing up, you're like, God dang, that thing's so bright, right? I'm like, well, it's not really. It's pretty much the standard now. And that's one of the things I think Surefire has done really well, is kind of set the standard for how it should be and how it can be. So again, without talking about competitors, names and things like that, like you're forcing people to chase. Right.
That's for sure.
And try to keep up. I wonder how that's been, just like with emerging brands and things like that, and how that's been for you.
Well, we get asked a lot of questions about competitors and stuff, and we're very polite, very professional. We play very well with others. We have a great reputation for that, and getting along with everybody. And we just showcase what our product can do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And show the benefits of ours, and they can do some self comparisons themselves. Yeah,
that was my whole point. Like I think you guys have been around a long time, right? And I wonder, how many employees does Surefire have?
As far as I know, approximately 300.
Wow, it's that big.
Yes, sir.
I had no idea. So that's manufacturing, sales, marketing, the whole 9 yards, and it's all in Fountain Valley.
Yes. So that's the main headquarters.
Gotcha.
And then, like I said, I'm out in Pennsylvania, but I travel all over.
Right.
And then we have several other law enforcement sales reps located throughout the country. We try to, space them out so it's not too far of a drive or too far of a plane ride for anybody, and we can react quickly.
So I think the other thing, just kind of getting near the end here, but just in wrapping this up, we've been talked a lot about law enforcement and some of the specific products for that. But I think one of the things Surefire's done a really good job of is talking to the commercial space in the same way, not any different in the same way. Like if you need a good equipment, you want the same stuff that law enforcement or military, whatever else. It's not exclusive. Like you're working directly with law enforcement, but anybody can get this stuff. I mean, I don't know about the shield light and why anybody would want that doesn't have a direct need for that. I don't know. Maybe when somebody wants to mount that to the roll bar of their Can-Am or something like that.
Some of our products have some restriction on them.
Like what, the laser stuff?
So You definitely the class 3 lasers.
Yeah.
Okay. You need department letterhead from military or law enforcement in order to obtain those. But some of our other products too. Off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. The Shield Light, the Dominator are law enforcement only.
Oh, that makes sense.
Nothing crazy. Just stuff that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me.
And the other thing that I didn't mention is, we're here today. We had our products displayed, and then we did all our suppressors. So our RC3 came out last year. Yeah,
I heard about it. I haven't tried. So I live in California, dude. So suppressors are kind of that one thing that we have to. We just don't get to enjoy as often. But tell me about it.
So our RC2 suppressor is incredible. The suppressor team did an unbelievable job developing that, and that's been out for over a decade and has the military contract. Incredible suppressor. 0-point impact shift, 0 dust signature, 0 to minimal flash, incredible sound suppression, something like 32 to 34 dB attenuation. It's really incredible. It's got our patented fast attach system, which there's basically a keyed lug inside that will orientate on one of our muzzle devices, either a flash hider, a muzzle brake, or our war comp, which is a combination of both. Incredible. And then once it's orientated, then you basically lock the collar. And this locks the suppressor on and orientates it correctly every time. So there's no point of impact shift from taking it on and off. Basically tames the gas, makes it quieter, removes the flash, and in most cases makes the actual weapon more accurate. Then we had the suppressor team had a request for trying to create a suppressor with lower gas back pressure. So after a long time of development and them working very hard on that and using some really, really high-speed computers to do all kinds of modeling and everything, they came up with the optimal design. And Barry Duke and the suppressor team came up with the RC3. So they were able to achieve 60% back pressure reduction, which is absolutely incredible. And today I had our guests shoot the RC2 and then immediately shoot the RC3 so they can see the difference. And they can shoot it however they like, but I prefer them to do it from the left side. That way the ejection port is in your face and you can really see the reduction in gas. It's incredible, especially for left-handed shooters. But gas reduction is extremely noticeable. And then without getting too much into details, I tell people that our suppressor has large pathways, to move the gas through and also send the carbon out the front. So it doesn't seem to pick up weight in carbon. And in my experience, it seems to cool down a lot faster than other suppressors because of all the venting. And there is literally 0 flash now. So they found a way to be tricky with the way they manipulate the gas and the fuel inside as it's burning and make sure that the flash happens inside the suppressor where the enemy can't see it. Absolutely incredible design.
Yeah, there's all kinds of, again, Surefire's just been one of those companies that's always trying to make things a little bit better all the time. And I feel like that RC2 is the model that a lot of people try to, kind of set a standard, and replicate. And the suppressor market has gotten wild in the last few years. I mean, it seems like there's a new suppressor company coming up every 5 minutes, and then they're coming up with 4 or 5 new products. But it's all centered around the basic same technology. They're trying to copy that Surefire's been using for a long time. I know some people that are just like, no, I'm good. With all the things that are out there, like I like toys, but I like my consistency, my durability. And just the value of the product. Some guys are shooting the same suppressors have been shooting forever, right? And they don't seem to fail. So I can appreciate that. Again, unfortunately, I'm not in a place where I can really have those, and someday I will, but not for now.
We all have all our suppressors at the booth as well, and it's really great to hear. I love hearing the end user feedback about the suppressor, because I just let them shoot and then I let them talk. And it really gets rave reviews, and it's just really great seeing the product come full circle there.
So I'm curious, as we're finishing up here, like what's the rest of the week going to look like for you, man?
Oh boy, yeah, it just started. So obviously today was just range. We got four full days of shot. So I'll be at the booth talking to customers, answering questions. I have tons of meetings scheduled, and then we'll walk the show and see what others are doing. because you gotta feel the marketplace out and test and see where the flow's going, see where the the water's direction's going and stuff. So we can make sure we give that feedback and stay in tune with our customers.
Yeah, I wonder how that is. Like, how is that when you're out there doing that? Is everybody trying to trying to just keep it a little quiet, but also try to give up at least a little bit of information?
Maybe.
Gonna send in your secret spies or what?
No.
You guys are holding it together. Listen, man, I'll let you get back out there. I'm like I said, I'm sure they're missing you right now. But just in terms of like the general information on like where people find out more about Surefire and the different products, where do they go? Who do they look out for? Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff? Or what?
Yes, we do. So first of all, they'll go to surefire.com, www.surefire.com. We have a great website. All the products are displayed on there. It shows their lumens, candela, weight, all the specs, all that, your MSRP pricing, the whole 9 yards. So a fantastic website. And then also we have an Instagram as well as we post a lot of YouTube videos. So on the Instagram, the marketing team is constantly updating that on new products or other ways to use it.
Cool.
So we try to stay really in touch with our audience.
And what about these little guys? Are these guys already available to market? Like the new lights?
Okay, so the one you're holding in your right hand, the Stiletto Pro 2 is available immediately.
Right
I am told that the XC3 and the Shield Light could or should be available in March.
Yeah, this is always the thing.
Always subject to change. I'll leave it at that. But that's the information that I've been briefed on.
It's always the thing with SHOT Show. You guys build up the excitement, and then we got to sit around and wait for it. You guys are all the same. But I appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking time, man. I appreciate you for,
Thank you for having me.
Sneaking away earlier in the week, get you with all the energy now before it's freaking drained in the next 3 or 4 days. I wish you the best of luck. Try to get some sleep and some food in the system in between things.
Awesome.
And if there's anything I can do for you, I don't know what that would be, but if there's anything I can do to help you guys or whatever, make sure to let me know. I'm happy to do that.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Great meeting you.
You too.